you don't have to be a scratch nerd to be into this. You know, it's supposed to speak for itself.
That if a load of talented people get together, then what they create as a group is generally going to be really good. And if that inspires other people to do that, it's going to keep getting better and better and more interesting.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your label?
So my label is Cut and
That's
Paste
enough.
Records.
So, Jim.
But unfortunately, that was the shittest gig I've ever done. They don't go, well, this isn't hip-hop, all that different type of rap or all this music. They don't care. They're just like, it's amazing that something we started as kids when we were skint has turned into this worldwide phenomenon. And that's it. So when people start harping on about keeping it real and stuff, I'm like, just have some fun, get a grip.
Welcome back to the 521 Sofa Chat. A couple of months ago, we had DJ Manipulate in here with Toes One and Cut Class, and we were talking about turntablism. However, after more communication with DJ Manipulate, I find out there's a lot of stuff going on and things that are really interesting, and it's all about a collective called the Skratchlords, which they're part of. He's brought one of the members of the collective, Symatic, here, so we're going to be discussing more stuff to do with the Skratchlords. So make sure you keep listening because there's a lot of things going on that I think will interest a lot of you. But before we begin, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell to receive the notifications, like, share, and get involved in the conversation below. And for anyone who has any issues with the sun and stuff like that, put your sunglasses on because, yes, this is quite bright. All right, here we go. Guys, do you want to introduce yourselves?
DJ Manipulate, Skratchlords, Grandeur Delusion, going back in time, Surgical Cuts.
Excellent. And
Yeah, Symatic, Skratchlords, Cut and Paste Records, just keeping involved with all the community scratch events that we put on as a result of all of that.
so, guys, first things first. For anyone who doesn't know what Skratchlords stands for or what Skratchlords is, can you give me a breakdown?
The community scratch scene that's been going since it started in Galway, in Ireland, 2006, 2007, by what was the Vince McMahon crew. It was 4 scratch DJs, extremely talented. They started an event that was to create a platform for artists, not just about competition sort of thing, especially Irish artists. So they did that and it worked really well. I then came to one of the second or third event that they did, and I was so blown away by what was going on and the talent of the people I was seeing. I went back to Brighton, where I live, and thought, oh, maybe I could do a similar event. So I did. It worked. People came, and then it just started this thing. And the Easter event is still going on. It's going on this Easter in Galway at the Beer House on Henry Street. I do the community scratch barbecue on the August bank holiday weekend, pretty much every year. So that's been going for 16 years now, pretty much. I think 2008 was the first one. So yeah, 15 years or something. So and then because of that, more people that we got contacted with generally online are the scratch DJs that we found out about that were really good, like way ahead of most people that people see in the media of hip hop or anything like that. We started communicating. We got them over to our events. Then they started doing similar things. It basically just grew. Then by about 2014, 2015, just come up with the name, the Community Skratchlords, and just thought it'd be a good idea to create an actual proper international crew, which I don't think has been done before on that level where everyone's sort of connected in that way and go to the same events. And then that's what grew, and then out of that become the live shows that we perform as 4 people, myself, Symatic, Jimmy Penguin and Dejaculate. And we do that as a show, but if one person not available, then someone else that is there at the time from an extended part of the crew can be in that sort of situation. But generally the Skratchlords is an idea, an international group of people. So it's like we've pinpointed the underground scene in different countries, and it seems to be growing and working.
What about you, Sai?
So yeah, shows wise, we try and do it so there's 4 of us. We go in totally freestyle. Sometimes we don't even know what beats we're gonna play.
It's all improvised.
Yeah, it's all improvised. Sometimes people make sets for us, like Joey FDH out of Sweden. She's sent us sets before, like hardcore electro sets, and we've just gone in with gone in blind. But that's kind of what keeps it interesting for us, keeps it interesting for people watching, is that it's like clearly been done on the spot, and like we react off of each other, and it just like freshens things up in a scene that depends a lot on routines and that style of performance. So we're just try and do the opposite thing, really.
Worldwide, how many members are there?
So, off the top of my head, and I don't want to forget anybody, but like we've got the US, Canada, Chile in South America, Germany, France, Belgium, Russia, Belarus, Poland, Ireland, Sweden, Norway. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Is that it? Canada.
Yeah, Canada. People all over, man.
Yeah, but basically, so for instance, in Ireland, there's the people that used to be part of the Vince McMahon band. They will show you there's an album they put out years ago that we put out years ago, whatever. Amazingly talented people that have split off into their own sort of solo careers or whatever. So originally the Irish guys, the Polish guys. There's lots of them, but I'd say specifically Kamilix, who's the DMC World Scratching Champion and World Portable Scratching Champion at the moment. Canada, you got Darcy D. I'll have to say Stevie Lone Staff, and the US, we've got the Asthma Funk crew. It's the t-shirt I'm wearing here. Asthma Funk. That's Kodak Visuals, DJ Fooders. They're from California, Sacramento at the minute. Kurtique was in there.
Yeah, they're an extended crew as well.
They're part of the extended crew of that. Bacon, yeah, that's it. And then in Chile, we've got the Modus Operandi crew, which are the mind-blowing jazz turntable sort of group and some of the best scratchers in original music. Russia, you've got the NMCP crew. Electro Food, he's from Belarus, right?
Yeah, he's from Belarus, but he's now in Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got Oslo Flow.
Oslo Flow, another very prolific member of our extended sort of scene.
But these are all crew members.
Yeah.
They do their own thing. But if we were in at any given moment in the middle of a show, I could quite happily point at any of these guys and go, "Come up for a cut," and they'd get involved.
Do you allow sort of newcomers in that aren't on that kind of level, or is it just a case of you got to be on some kind of heavy level?
It's people that stand out with their cuts. Like it's not like you've got to win X amount of battles or you've got to have done this many albums or something. It's like if you've got something to your flow and like how you approach scratching.
Yeah, you can hear when people even everyone's got room to improve always. It's progressive. The whole scene is progressive. But you can just hear things of some people. They just come with something different to the table that you're just like, look at that. That's mental, It's just a whole different angle. They're the sort of people that I would try and go, right, you need to be part of that thing. It's more just... Well, I'm generally shocked, really. So what happens is we make friends with people. What has happened? Cut Mandu from Poland, for instance. This guy, right? He didn't have any turntables. No, he had a reel-to-reel tape player, and he learnt how to scratch on that. Now, I saw videos of it, and I was like, is this actually real? It's too good. And how's he actually doing it? I thought it was... So we got I thought it was, it's real. I don't know. It was weird. He came over to the scratch games in Ireland, and... what I saw was just the most mental thing I've ever seen in my life. He was scratching, sounded better than people scratching on vinyl, but with a reel-to-reel tape player. And he was having to take the tape out and turn it over. It's crazy. And the button was like a dial. The button was like a dial. And that was the on and off thing. And he was doing mad shit. And now he scratches... Well, this is years ago. So 2012, 2013. Since then, he got turntables because he got known about for being so good at this tape thing. And then... it's just wild. And now he's just amazing as well. So seeing him just blew me away. I'm like, this is crazy. And then the Modus Operandi crew, just doing things I've never seen people do musically before. The Vince McMahon crew that changed everything in 2007 on really sort of onwards. So, and then Oslo Flow from Norway, which just DJ Blam1 and Plato, their scratching it's different to other people's scratching. It sounds different and their beats sound completely different. So that's the thing, really. There's all these things happening around the world that we are lucky enough to meet these people and find out about them, and then we hang out, and then we all get on, and that's what it is. It's just been like that, really, sort of thing.
So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that you guys consider yourselves as the best DJs in the world right now.
No, I wouldn't say that. We know we're good at what we do. People tell us we're good at what we do. We have fun doing what we do. And
So let me just clarify. The people that tell you that you're good at what you do aren't the people in your group. It's other people.
Yeah.
So you haven't got Si going, yo, Jim,
Oh no, we
you're
do
good.
that as well. We do that as well. But well, that's the thing with it. Our extended crew, it's like they're making so much music. All these people from like 11 countries, whatever, make so much music. We don't actually have time to take notice of what's going on in other forms of music, or whatever. A lot of the time, we're so busy. Like, I've made these tracks. I'm like, have you heard this? You know, it's like it's that's what's going on with it. But we're not elitist at all. We're totally we're not exclusive. We're inclusive. Well, the whole thing is we want people to just, doesn't matter if they're any good or not. They just, if they've got this shared attitude.
Well, like the modus operandi guys are a good example of like how we linked up with people. You know, we'd heard about these guys, but they're on the other side of the planet. You know, we've seen them entering battles and putting up videos and putting out EPs and stuff like that. Maybe, you know, Felipe FSO had actually released something with Jimmy Penguin's Community Scratch label. So there's links there already. But then in 2017, we did like a UK tour, and that was all focused around getting some of the Russian guys over, NMCP. And we set up the tour with those guys in mind, going around the UK, doing shows, local heads coming with us. The modus operandi guys hit us up right at last minute and said, can we join? And it was like, listen, like we're barely affording to get everyone in and as it is. And they're like, no, we just want to join. We'll pay our way on. We're just like, is it cool for us to join? And we're like, absolutely it is. So, you know, made the crew way bigger, made the shows way better. And, you know, it just linked us all together. And like, we all got on as friends, and we all respected what each other was doing. And, you know, so much stuff came off the back of it. So many like collaborations and ideas.
The Russia tour, then the West Coast US tour. And then
we went to Chile.
And then Chile, when there was like a revolution going on, we were like doing in-stores with fucking water cannons outside, blasting people and stuff. And just total madness, really, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Going to NAMM in LA that time and sort of, just doing loads of stuff that we'd never dreamed of doing. We were doing stuff on the Beat Junkie stage, being introduced by Babu. It was just stuff like, whoa, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, at one point on our Stokio stage, I was just me scratching, practicing. There's hardly everyone was milling about somewhere else. The only people watching was Grand Mixer DXT, DJ D Styles, and Lil Finesse. And I was like, scratching, going, I'm trying to be pretty good.
You said Grand Mixer DXT?
Yeah.
I thought it was DST.
There's DXT.
Are we talking person?
We're talking about the same guy who used to make the records in.
He did the scratching 80s. With Herbie Hancock and Rocket.
Yeah.
DST. So that was a bit of pressure for me at that point.
Yeah, you can imagine. So
it's mind-blowing stuff. All because we made friends with loads of people around the country, and then we all help each other. And that's it. We all pay for it. It's a DIY scene. Everybody puts in, and everyone gets back, and then it keeps growing and growing.
So the pros are obviously very, very obvious, right? But are there any cons?
Doesn't seem to be at the moment. No. It seems to be all right. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it pays off. You know, and like you don't, and you're up for just like mission across the other side of the planet or something occasionally. You know, it's just sort of like it's about that. You know, you make it happen, and you know that something's gonna come back because of it. You know, and that's how a lot of these things end up happening. You know, and like one thing always leads to another. You know, there'll be some connection from a gig that someone's like, oh, I saw you at that thing. We should do something in the future, and like, you know.
So you're all helping each other pretty much go on tours across the world. So you're bringing people to Brighton, or
and then they get us over. Yeah, it's like a web sort of linking together like that, and we all help each other, and it makes it support. And then when there's releases from one country, sort of part of the extended Community Scratch crew, you know, if they're putting out an album and it gets promoted, or we promote over here, and vice versa, things get sent over. So it sort of looks after itself on that level.
Yeah, the scene feels healthy, you know. There's a lot going on, a lot of good quality stuff going on.
You said something a little bit earlier about how you're too busy to kind of watch everything else that's going on and all that. Do you think that's destructive?
No, I mean, I didn't really mean it that literally. Obviously I do listen to lots of other stuff, to notes and stuff, but it's good to have your mates sending you, like, I've made this new album or I've done this stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I'm listening to that and it sounds different. It sounds a lot of the music that the people we know are making and all these underground people, they're not, because they're not trying to impress anybody. They're just literally being artists. It's just the weirdest stuff comes out, and a lot of the time it's really good. But then that's how things change, isn't it? So yeah, I do spend a lot of time listening to stuff. I don't think it's destructive at all, because if I listen to it, I'll then play it to someone and go, "You got to hear this. It's crazy."
I meant it in the way of, like, if you haven't really got time for anybody else, you become very self-absorbed.
Yeah, but it's not my mood. It's like I say, you're talking about 11 countries of people making different music, and it all sounds different as well, and a different approach to the same thing we're all into. So, of course, I'm going to listen to that. I'm not going to go, "Oh, sorry, Modus Operandi, I'm not going to listen to your new album, so I'm too busy listening to something in the charts."
So. Obviously, if it's members of the collective, then I can imagine you're going to be checking it out. But do you check anybody else?
Oh, totally, yeah.
I guess the way I put it is, like, I find myself listening to a whole day's worth of music that's made by my mates. And then,
in 34 seconds.
And you just skip through it. But like, but I could sit there and realise that I've listened to basically nothing but like my mates' albums all day, and you're just like, actually I've got to remember to like go out and like keep digging and keep reaching for
as well, haven't you?
Yeah, of course you do. But it's actually, it's like, it's one of those moments you can sort of like look around and just think like, this is amazing. Like there's enough stuff for me to just like, I can't even listen to it all in one day. It's going to keep me busy all week. And I still want to be checking for new things as well, So, it's a lucky position, I guess.
Well, as well, it seems to be that the attitude of the people that we know in all these countries doing this, they're not coming at it like, we need to make an album so I can earn money and then I can do this or whatever. They're not doing that. They're going, we've made an album. It's weird. You know what I mean? And they've got that. None of us are really on that whole sort of, we're trying to do this so we can make money. It's like, we ain't going to make money. Our music's too weird.
Was that ever a thing with where we lot come from?
Not originally, no. But I think a lot of people now get into new stuff, sort of for this extra level of stuff. Whereas really, the stuff that interests me anyway, is just people doing it because it's just art and it sounds crazy or looks great or whatever. You know what I mean? They're doing it because it's an expression of themselves. So
I want to ask a little bit of a weird question. Like I seen a picture a few years ago on DJ Pogo's page.
Yeah.
Where I think it was DJ Pogo. It might have been somebody else, but I'm sure it was Pogo. And there was this guy hiding behind a tree, watching other DJs to kind of steal their ideas and stuff.
I have no
Are you one
idea
of these guys that hides behind trees?
Do you think we are?
You look like a tree hider.
Well, I've always spoken very highly of you, Blade.
I'm joking, bro.
No, the whole community scratch thing as well is not really like that. It's not the nerd thing. Some people, that's what they do. They like that stuff. What I would say is that the community scratch gigs that we do all around the world have women dancing at them to people scratching R and fresh to a weird slow electro beat.
You get women at your events?
Yeah.
So how come we never get women at ours?
We do stuff that is, I guess on paper is like a hardcore underground scene. But like we've played at places like, we did Galway Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
And we were expecting like, this is going to be a bit weird for everyone, isn't it? We're turning up playing like dark electro beats and like there's four of us going at it, fucking hardcore scratching on the performance at a jazz, a serious jazz festival. People loved it. And they really loved the improvisational aspects, that they hadn't heard stuff like that. There was people dancing to it, and we thought, these people are probably like electro heads or something. And I've never heard anything like this. It's just,
yeah,
the fact that it kind of speaks for itself for people kind of lets us know that we're kind of onto something.
One of the things that I've always said, especially because I promote and produce or whatever the Scratch Barbecue in Brighton. I don't mind if any of the people that come to it don't know anything about it or they're not into hip hop or anything like that. I actually sometimes prefer it because those people look at things on a non-biased level, and if it's good, it's good. So a lot of the buzz that I've got personally out of doing these events or being involved in the events similar by our extended crew is the fact that there are people there that are just like, this is wicked, and they don't know what we're doing, and they don't care. Whereas the people that do know what we're doing analyse, and that can be a problem sometimes.
What I like about the events is watching that kind of break down for some people. You know, there's people that will come there and their approach to a gig like that is to come and analyze, and then they end up having a wicked time and just letting go and having a party, and you're just like that. That's why you came out to the pub, right?
That's why we do it in pubs as well. It's like everyone likes the pub.
I mean, it's similar in the rap world, really. Like, when you go to a lot of events, you get a lot of other artists that come there to analyze what's going on and who the competition is and so on and so forth. But they get along. And, you know, next thing you know is they're working together, collaborating, doing whatever. And who knows, that's where you're going to discover some of the new Skratchlords.
One thing I've always said about the event I do, whatever, any community scratch event, is like, leave your ego at home if you've got one, because it doesn't mean shit. It's like, it doesn't matter who you think you are, whatever. Just come and have a fucking laugh and chill out. Like, it's all about a bit of fun. That's why it's called a community scratch scene. But you know, bring your family, bring your grandmother, you know, bring your children. Like you were saying earlier, it's a different conversation. But like, we want that because that balance is necessary in any social event. If an event's only got a load of young blokes in it, obviously it's going to get fucking weird. Yeah. There has to be a balance. If you go to pubs and it's a certain age of people, they're weird. You go to a pub where there's kids running around and old people and everything. Everyone balances out their behaviour a bit better.
But I think if I don't know if this lines up with what you were saying about like your existing opinions on the scene or whatever. But like, you know, for us, like a lot of what we're doing now and what we've been doing for a while is like actually kind of a reaction to the scene that was getting very like battle focused, very stale. Analytical and very stale. Yeah, like it was just like we want to just like liven it up a bit, like literally make it more live.
Not enough characters, not enough wild cards, not enough.
Let's delve into that a little bit. Why do you think that is? I
kind of saw like throughout the time that I really started getting being able to connect to the scene a bit more, the 2000s, 2010s. There was a sort of almost felt like a bit of a missed opportunity as all of the digital stuff came in and seemed to offer so much opportunity for like creative ideas, but actually a lot of the time it ended up just being like, here's a shortcut. And I think a little bit of that had an influence on how people approached like the scene, you know, something that came from people just putting turntables together because that's what they had.
A sense of entitlement?
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of that as well. And like DJing became this big like job, you know, that like people got paid big money for, and you know, there's a bit of a general like misunderstanding about all of that, and you know, for some people that is what it is, but for us, like, you know, we were always into this like live part of it,
creative, just doing something that's going to inspire people to say, oh, that's wicked, that's fun, or whatever, that's different. You know, it's non-threatening, it's inclusive, and it's somewhere to go for fun, for God's sake. You know, I mean, it's going to make anyone that's young go, oh, that's cool, these people are really nice, they're having a right laugh, and the music's good, and the atmosphere's good. Just what everyone wants in it, just have a good time.
I want to get involved, maybe even encourage people to do it as well.
Surely. Because a lot of things can get exclusive. People are just like, no, we're too cool for that, you're not part of us, and all that. It's like, that's not going to get you anywhere, really.
When did you start DJing? What age?
Okay, I'll start a different story slightly. I got into hip-hop in 1984. There was all the original electro series, and I was 12, and I got into body popping and stuff. I started making pause button mixtapes then, you know, with cassettes sort of stuff, and I did that. And then I was always into that sort of stuff, but I didn't have the money to have decks or anything like that, and that went on. I think I was like 24 or something like that, 23, 24. So 95 actually, is when I started scratching. Got my first decks in 96. And then I just went bang straight into it and was just like 8 hours a day. That's it.
Okay, so let's go back to 95.
Yeah.
Describe the person you were as a DJ in 95 and then break it down, like just a couple of sentences each, right? And then break down the next 10 years, then the next 10 years. Okay,
so
I want to see if there's a change in the way you think as a DJ. Yeah?
So in 95, when I started scratching, it's because one of my best friends, Gilly, who's still one of my best mates now, at the time, I was living as what people called New Age travellers, but we didn't call ourselves that. We were part of the free festival scene. Everything get hounded by the police, public enemy #1. Everyone hated us. Anyway, and then the free party scene, the rave scene, sort of merged with what we were doing already. I really liked that because I was into electro when I was a kid and stuff like that. You know, this is what went on. And then people started getting decks as we were living in vehicles. People started getting decks. My friend Gilly, he got decks. We started doing stuff together. I started scratching straight away, buying hip-hop records. I moved off the road a couple of years or so after that. because I wanted to concentrate on DJing. And I couldn't do it when I was living in the vehicle and the police were pushing you around all the time. It's just really difficult. You had to be one of the rich people doing that, and I wasn't one of those people. So then I moved into a house, got decks, and then that's it. Just cracked on straight away with that. And then about a year or so after that, I moved to Brighton. Made friends with DJ Blood One and DJ As If. DJ As If, female DJ, the only female DJ to reach the DMC UK finals anyway. In '98, we started a crew called Surgical Cuts. It's Blood One, myself, DJ As If, and Fidel Cutstro, the Scratch Dictator. Then we entered DMC team battles when they started. We came second twice. And then we started doing lots of shows as a crew and blah, blah, blah. That went on. Then people went their separate ways. We all carried on doing our stuff as we still do. And then it come to today. It's a long story.
So Surgical Cuts no longer exists?
It didn't stop. It's just one of the things that's like we all just did different things. But it still exists. If we want it to, we can get back together and do a show.
So what I'm trying to get at is just very quickly describe what was going on in your mind in '95 when you got into DJing? What was it? Was it money? Was it
No, I just wanted to be able
So
to
how did
scratch
that
like the
change
people on
10
the
years?
records I heard scratch.
Right. So when you've done that for 10 years now and you're at the level that people are now willing to pay you money and whatever, did your mentality change?
I started DJing out in 98. I had a residency in New Cross, Motherfunk, with Born to Rock actually.
Where I come from.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that was the first time I was DJing out. And then we were involved in a night called Tiderium, which Jazz T was involved in as well. It was like a jungler, drum and bass, and hip hop night. And I was in the hip hop room. We were all doing, so it was Jazz T and stuff. And I was in Brighton, the Zap Club, Tiderium that night was called. And then from then on, things just sort of changed. So but what changed? There was no attitude change. All I wanted from the start was I was into scratching. As a little kid, like when I was 12. I heard the scratching. I don't know what's going on with that. That sounds amazing. I want to do that. So as soon as it was possible, I started doing it.
So we've gone 95, Passion, 98, Passion, 2008, still Passion.
Starting the Scratch Barbecue then.
Right.
Yeah, and then
but mentality-wise?
Same mentality.
And what about 2018?
Same mentality.
Okay.
I love doing it. I love the sound of it. I want to hear more progressive music.
Right, and I'm guessing that's the way the whole collective is.
Seems, I can't speak for anyone else, but it seems that way to me.
Okay, and I'm guessing you're the same.
Yeah,
have you ever woken up and gone, I can make money from this, money is the priority now? That's what I'm trying to get at.
We ain't going to make money doing what we do.
Yeah. I've always sort of thought of it as just like, it's not a big enough thing to be like having some aspiration that it's going to be like paying for a house one day or something. But yeah, like Jim's saying, like for me, like the mentality hasn't actually shifted, and I'm glad that it hasn't. I still feel like I'm trying to achieve the same thing and aspiring to do the same thing that I was doing when I first got into this. And the actual DJing thing, like curating music for an audience, like I don't consider myself great at doing that. There's people that are really good at being a DJ like that. Like I want to present the music and the scene that we're doing in its raw form, in the form that it exists in, take it or leave it. But that's how I want to do it. And having a platform to do that now is,
it's great fun. It's got loads of mates. We go on holiday places. We get to hear loads of mental music. Visit, just have mental experiences, and that's all I want. Memories. Well, if I'm lucky enough to be on a deathbed, I want to just go, I've done loads of shit. I'm ready to go. That's all I want to do. You know what I mean? I just want to be.
And there's already been plenty of moments where you're just like, damn, I can't believe we've already done all of these amazing things. And so the boxes are checked in a lot of ways for the things that 20 years ago me was like, I wish I could do that one day.
Just collaborating with people people that we've always thought as like, people we looked up to and people that we were fans of their music. So I'm not heroes a bit weird, but you know what I mean. And it's like, and then all of a sudden you're now just your mates and just doing stuff. It's amazing. It's what, as a kid, when I was 12 and I first got into it, hearing this weird music that just maybe I don't care about anything else. This is mental. It's quite mad to now actually know some of those people and everything. And I'm like, chuffed. It's amazing. Do you know what I mean? All just because
it's funny when
you just got to stick with it.
There's that phrase when people say, don't meet your heroes because, whatever. And like, but the amount of times we've managed to, meet heroes and then just turn out to be really sound, really similar.
Well, they're all in the same position as you, really. We just see certain people with big names and assume there's somebody like on another level. And there's only a few select that are on that level. Yeah. Everyone else is doing the same as we are. We're all trying to make ends meet.
Man.
So,
we will say.
But when we had the last sofa chat with
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
we were talking about the connection between the DJing, the graffiti, the rapping, and all that kind of stuff. And now the thing is, you're talking about this collective that I wasn't aware existed. Like there's so many of you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you need any of the other things to exist for you lot to exist?
I don't really think of it that way. I don't know. That's not like a consideration. If you mean what the other aspects of hip hop or
Yeah.
anything like that.
I mean, does it matter
It'd be
to you?
great if we had like a graph crew, community scratch graph crew, or like Graphlords or
some
Rap
rappers
Lords or whatever.
or-
You know, if that's I'd love that. But
Roughneck Jihad actually
yeah.
already started with the
Yeah,
rap
so,
lords. Yeah.
Roughneck Jihad the Roughneck, what do they call him, out of the LA he's from, isn't it? Yeah.
But like we
Basically-
know, we know dancers, we know graphers,
Yeah,
we know
yeah,
MCs.
yeah.
Any given time, it would be.
We do.
You know,
There are
we
involved in our
collaborate
scene. There
with
are
them.
people of that as well. So it does happen. I mean, the scratch games in Ireland. There's a lot of rap acts there. There's always graffiti going on outside. Not so much b-boys, but yeah, it's not like we're this. We don't want to do that. It's not like that. I'd love that to happen. It's just you've got to have those people that want to do that in the same way. So I'm not going to wait for them. We're just cracking on with what we're doing. You know.
Yeah, cool.
It does kind of feel like past 10 years, like all those scenes seem a little bit
Distant.
a little bit, yeah. But like, there's plenty of opportunities that we run into and gladly
Do you
jump
think
on
it
them.
will?
You know.
Do you think it'll ever come back round to that cycle again?
Yeah, I hope it does.
We have to make
you can't-
it.
yeah,
but
yeah.
sometimes it's not that easy
You can't sort of
Why
force
don't
it
you lot start
artificially.
rapping?
because I can't
Why
rap.
don't you bust a verse? Just bust a verse.
Nope.
Do it. Do Rebel without a pause. Come on.
Nope.
Yes. The rhythm. The Rebel.
Nope.
Join me.
Nope.
Without a pause.
Nope.
I'm lowering my level.
Nope.
The hard rhymer. Come on.
You're doing well yourself. Sorry. You're the rapper. I'm the DJ.
Si, can you tell us a little bit about your label?
So my label is Cut and
That's
Paste
enough.
Records.
So, Jim. Go on. I'm joking.
So your label is Cut and Paste Records. So like the way that started was I started making my own scratch sounds. Like I put them onto like dub plates or just use them in Serato or whatever. Just because I wanted certain sounds in a certain order. Inspired by people like, you know, the way that Jim cuts up acapellas and stuff.
I
I was
thought
like,
you were pointing at me. I thought there was going to be me there. I was getting ready to do a
You inspired him as well, I'm
the
sure.
Cabbage Patch.
but I'm inspired by like everything. Like
So do you get inspired by rappers?
Definitely, man. I mean, I collect like
Flow of
I collect,
scratching.
yeah, I collect acapellas to sample and to scratch. Like one of my favorite things to do is to cut like through a whole acapella, not just pick one verse or one loop. Is just to like learn the whole thing well enough that I could pick any line and flow with it.
Have you ever heard a rapper do a flow, a pattern that you just thought, oh my God,
Yes,
if
what
I
we do
could
all
do
the
that,
time.
I'm
Absolutely,
That's-
man.
that's what
Absolutely.
inspires us
I've
to
even
cut.
done it as a joke, right? Where, like when everyone was like complaining about mumble rap and that kind of
Oh,
thing.
so you mumbled on the cuts?
I know. I thought like, yeah. I was just like, how would you do that? How would you do those little and I started doing it. I was like, actually, it's
Scared.
not bad. I'm just gonna keep doing it. You know,
You
it gave
just
me
get a bit of
ideas.
future in there and you're good.
Yeah. Why not? You know, and
Ludacris is rapping as well. A lot of scratching with just a bit of there's lots of sort of swing and stuff like that.
or with like Roughneck Jihad, we messaged. Like I've done a project with him. A couple of projects with him actually. Yeah. This is our EP that came out in 2022. It's like all scratch production that I
I
made.
did all the production on it with scratching.
It's like a loop. I made all the beats out of a loop
wow.
pedal and scratching. Sent the beats to Roughneck Jihad. He sent them back with acapellas over, and then I like mixed and mastered it. And he like just told everyone we were doing a project, and I was like, well, I better finish it then. You know, like he'd already announced it. You know, so I was like, well, that's it. I'm doing a
Yeah,
project.
some people are a bit eager
it's-
these days, isn't
But
it?
I loved it. It lit a fire under my ass, so I was appreciative of it, man. But like his flows are like he pushes his rhymes off the beat and groups it weird and stuff like
So
that.
he's got no boundaries really. He's just
No,
whatever.
yeah, and he's always working on himself and like crazy vocabulary and like for me like that's an inspiring in itself. But I'll also just like as an exercise be like, how do I even scratch like that?
challenge, yeah.
You know, because everyone scratching
Great
can be. You know, you'll get obsessed with the timing of it and get it on beat and everything, but then you can end up sounding stale after a while. So,
But do you realize while we're talking, right? You've digressed. I asked about your label.
That's on my label. But yeah, so the label. We started. I started making. I'd sample acapellas. I'd sample sounds and like make my own scratch records basically for myself. Like it cost like 50 quid, 40 quid for a dub plate, and I was just like, well, a scratch record's like 15, 20 quid, but I only use a little bit of it, so it still like seemed value.
So
for
now
money,
with the cost of living going up, what's the cost going to be?
What of a scratch record?
Yeah, because they have to like charge more for the electrics, more for the gas, more for the everything.
Man, you know what? Shit, yeah, we've been holding off putting prices up, but damn, yeah, it is tough, man. Like shit's getting expensive to make, but yeah,
So
basically, my label partner Darcy D, he's out in Canada. He was living in the UK at the time that we started the label, and it was his idea to actually make wax. He was like, look, you know how to make these scratch records. You know, there's a bit of a method to doing it to make them useful for people. Like, he was like, you know how to do that. I can hustle stuff. Let's go for it. And we raised the money to do the first record. We put it out.
So the combination of the maker and the hustler.
Yeah, man, and it worked really well, and we got records into people's hands. Like people were appreciative that there was new stuff coming out. It was a bit of a sort of a lull in that kind of stuff at the time.
When you say at the time, how long ago was that?
So the first record we put out was in 2014. It's called Cadence with Rhythm and Flow.
Yeah, almost a decade.
The reason it's called that is because it's like Darcy's son is called Cadence, and he said, all I want is one loop on this record that says Cadence with Rhythm and Flow.
Do you think your record will appeal to more than the DJs and people that are creatively technical?
For the musical stuff, that's exactly what we're going for. It's just like, you don't have to be a scratch nerd to be into this. You know, it's supposed to speak for itself. The subjects that are in it, I don't tend to go on too much about the fact that it was scratch with a turntable to someone that's like not a scratcher. It's just like, just listen to it. You know,
if you
enjoy it, you enjoy it.
Fucking worry about how someone's playing the keyboard in the band. You
Exactly,
just like the band. I like Pink Floyd. They're like, no one questions how the instruments were played. Do you see what I mean? It's just music. So it doesn't have to be analysed in that way.
Yeah, you don't have to prove
if you like
anything,
it, you like
you know.
it. You don't. It doesn't matter.
That just happens to be the way I've learned how to make music.
And where does Skratchlords and what you do combine?
So like after I made that first record, there's another crew that Cut Class. He was part of the original crew of Super Scratch Sunday. It's just like a collective that meets up. It started out like meeting up at people's houses for a cut
on a Sunday.
Friends on a Sunday. Yeah.
So what happens if it goes on to a Monday? Is it going to change the name?
Oh, yeah, just everything starts falling apart, and you'll get fines. And, Darcy would come to some of those. That was like sort of part of how we got to know each other. And I'd have my scratch records, my custom ones, and then I had the one that I pressed, and people would buy it and be interested in having a new thing or whatever. One of those, Jim did a showcase at one of the Scratch Sundays that we did in Whitstable.
Yeah, that's when I first met you on it.
Yeah, and he at the end of the thing, he liked my cuts just in that sort of freestyle session that we had there, and said, come do a show at the barbecue. So yeah, I did that. I think that was 2014.
Yeah.
And then I've just been involved in that ever since, and yeah, the whole thing just multiplied.
Just trying to get everyone talented together, so that if a load of talented people get together, then what they create as a group is generally going to be really good. And if that inspires other people to do that, it's going to keep getting better and better and more interesting,
But you can only see that like inspiring each other. If everyone's dope, everyone's going to be better than the next.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about those events. Actually, is like for everyone that goes to one of to those community scratch events, you come away feeling with such a sense of sort of inspiration.
I come away feeling like that, and I organise the event. Every event at the end of it, I'm just like, how did this happen again? This is amazing. It's just because there's so many different people and there's no restrictions. It's just free, so it can just happen as it happens.
Career-wise, records, releases, what have you done?
First cuts I did on wax, 2006, a rapper called Roop the Cunt. You know Roop? Yeah. Anyway, Roop the Cunt. That was the. He's an amazing rapper. Anyway, I did cuts on his 12-inch release, and then I put out on my own sort of imprint label, Norsecore, put out a 7-inch called Strontium Sleaze Wave and Heavy Karma. Then after that, did various cuts on rappers, a crew called the Imagineers that was part of Dr. Syntax, English, Tom Hines, Clev Cleverly. And then I was doing cuts on other people's sort of underground rap records. A few releases came out on that level. Then our own stuff, Grands of Delusion, sort of band I started, a scratch band that still exists. We're just on hold for the minute again. We've done Stale Breath of Fresh Air in 2007. 2009, Night the Flavagator vinyl.
Did you anything on this one?
No.
Obviously, it was Kirky. And
Yeah, it was Rich.
Do you feel left out?
No, that was before I even met them.
Oh, okay.
So,
Do you still feel left out, though?
No, never.
Okay.
And anyway, yeah, so release of our own stuff and then more stuff, more albums by our own crews and stuff. Rap stuff as well. Done cuts on a Skits album. Son of Sam album, done cuts on like Master Ace tracks and stuff like that. So I've always been, there's always that going on.
Who's your favourite rapper that you've actually worked with?
I don't know the favourite rapper that I've worked with. I suppose the people that I know that I've worked with really.
Like Syntax.
Yeah, I was the DJ basically. It was so it was about 3 or 4 years, sort of 2007 to 2010 or something probably. Lots of good gigs, different countries, different places, funny stuff.
I believe there was a situation with R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah, that was quite amusing.
But I mean, being around Stig would have been amusing as well.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. So like, yeah. Now the RA thing, we did it was like a 3-day sort of gig thing. Was it Plymouth, Bristol, and somewhere else? But anyway, RA is quite a colourful character. He, on the way from Plymouth to Bristol in a van, he wanted to go what he called sword fighting. Fencing. I realised halfway through the conversation, he goes, "Oh, you guys, you're English and that, you do like sword fighting?" I was like, "What? With a lance on a horse?" Like, fucking hell, man, you're watching too many Robin Hood films. So, anyway, I was like, "No, you don't really do that unless you went to a posh school. You might have had the chance to do fencing. It's not something generally people do." And he was like, "Well, we're going to do it tonight." I'm like, "I don't think we are. We're going to Bristol doing a show in Stokes Croft. I don't think it's time for us to sign up to a fencing club and do that." But he was like, "You're too fucking negative, Jim." And I was like, I'm going to phone someone. So he phoned this bird in New York. We're in the van. And he goes, right. And he goes, "Right, fuck you." He goes, "I've got it booked. Eastern Community Centre. There's a fencing club tonight. We can do it after the sound check." I was like, "No, you fucking can't." And he's like, "You're too negative." I was like, "You can't just do that. What are you on about? It's stupid." Anyway, so do this, do the sound check. RA does his sound check. We do our sound check. He just opens the door of the club. It's empty, obviously, and just goes, "Taxi's outside. We're going sword fighting." I was just like, "What?" So we get in. We go to Eastern Community Centre. Now, at that time, I don't know what Eastern's like that. You live right there, don't you, basically? Yeah. You live Red Hill, don't you? Right next to Eastern. Oh, yeah. Eastern at the time, it's a pretty hard place, you know what I mean? It ain't the sort of place you just roll up to the community centre. I don't know. It's not... me, I was being negative. I was told that I am. And I was just like, "What are we doing?" We roll up to Eastern.
Being negative about my community centre.
I know, yeah. So we roll to Eastern, like R.A. the Rugged Man. I mean, you know, he'll stand out in the crowd. Stig stands out in any crowd. Dr. Syntax, with the rest of us, stood out. And then obviously me looking like a fool like I normally do anyway. And then we just bowl in this community centre. These people are just like, "The fuck are these people?" You know what I mean? RH goes straight up. He goes, yo, we're coming to do some sword fighting." And they were like, "Oh, hello, do you mean fencing?" And I was just like, "Fucking, that's crazy." Anyway, they let us in. We have a go. RA's running across battering, like he doesn't even do the rules. He just goes, like, he gets the points because he's on like an electric thing where you get points. Anyway, it's fucking crazy. I was just thinking this is the most surreal moment of my fucking life. We come out of there. And then RA's like, "I told you we go sword fight." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'm negative, I don't know." And he goes, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, I'm going to get Vinny Pass, Saigon, I'm going to start our own sword fighting team, and we'll come back over here and do this." I was like, brilliant. So yeah, that's that story. I mean, that's pretty wild.
That's brilliant. And when you're talking, kind of emulating his accent and everything, you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Yogi Bear.
Yeah, there's a bit. I don't know who Boo Boo would have been though in the crew. Hey, Boo Boo. I don't know, but anyway, it was good fun, you know. So yeah, with the Stig and Syntax stuff, toying around with them was a right laugh, you know. And obviously I was a stage DJ, so I got treated like shit, like drummers doing bands.
It's customary, isn't it?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the DJs
Do this, do that, stop that, turn that up. Don't.
You know, when we were doing tours and everything, we used to gather the rappers together, the tour manager and
Kick
everything,
the
and go,
DJ.
right, we got to make this hard for the DJ.
Why? Bastards.
So what was the
And
highlight?
then we started our scratch crew without MCs, and we've been very
I wonder how that happened.
So what was the highlight?
It's all been a highlight, and there's more to come. It's just doesn't stop. I mean,
Oh, that's a cop out.
No, it's not. It just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. I mean, at the moment, sort of short-term memory going back, obviously the US West Coast tour was absolutely amazing. The Chile thing was absolutely amazing. That was just wild. I didn't even want to come home. It was just wild. So that, and then stuff has been happening even last night. Just like this sort of gig we did last night with people that wouldn't normally have got together. So yeah, it keeps going on. I don't know, because I'm not really trying to get anything out of it, everything's a bonus.
What about you?
That's a high point for me. Is the EP that I did with Roughneck Jihad. Like, I mean, it's an absolute honor to work with him, and the way it came together was just like was very sort of natural and sort of easy in a way, you know.
So do you put yourself out there to say to people, I'm a DJ, I'll scratch on anybody's records, any kind of stuff like that?
Not really. Like, I mean. So if there's people that I want to do stuff with, you know, if I've made some beats, I'll send them to them and hopefully it will come back. But it's not like you're on this exact thing. This is going to happen. We've got to do it by 3 o'clock. It's kind of just like you put it out there and you see what comes back and, see what happens basically. So like, you know, I've just bounced out a bunch of beats that I've been playing around with for the past few months and sent them to people like Roughneck Jihad and some of the old heads that I used to do performances with when I lived in Edinburgh. A couple of MCs up there, Texture and Tickle, and you know, nothing has to come out of it if they're not feeling it, or if it doesn't like, you know, light their flame, then whatever. But
we just have fun, don't we? That's it. We just want fun, man.
And I just want them to, I just want them to hear those beats in the first place. Yeah, I think you'll like it, you know. And then if that inspires them to actually do something creative with it, then that's even better, you know. But yeah, I've never really been about trying to sort of like force a situation like that. I kind of feel it kind of stifles the whole thing that you're trying to represent anyway. So
at this point, I want to kind of introduce a new feature to. I'm just trying something out, see how it goes. But I want to introduce a new feature, and I call it the Big Dick Moment. That's DYK. You got it. The Do You Know moment. The Big Dick Moment. So tell us something about you that no one knows.
So when I was 16, before I became a punk squatter, then sort of traveller, I was actually an Olympic standard toboggan person. And I did really well, but I had a really bad injury.
Is this for real?
No, it's totally real, man. I had a really bad injury, and I lost my foot. It's not a real foot, but I can't show it to people because it's just, I don't want to bring that up too much. Anyway, so yeah, that was that. That's a weird thing about me.
you see him in the Sarajevo Winter Games. He like absolutely smashes it.
Yeah, that was just mental. So it all changed.
Yeah.
Show us your foot.
I can't.
Because it's not there.
It's not there. It's just my shoe. Oh. Screws onto the bottom of my leg. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. It makes me upset. You know what I mean? Sorry, what weird thing?
What about you, Si?
What's something that no one knows?
We need that big
They're gonna
dick
know now.
moment from you.
What's a big dick moment that nobody knows? I'm the current scratch champion in the UK, and no one knows.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you are the IDA.
Thanks, DJ. Thank you, DJ in industry.
Yeah. Thanks for making us create our own scene that we didn't have to give a fuck about these people that didn't give a fuck about us anyway.
It's kind of crazy that you have achieved something amazing.
Well, like I say, a lot of
no
people in
one
our
knows.
crew and extended crew are like the officially the best. They're alone the best because officially the best don't mean the best, does it? A lot of the time. Yeah. So that's happening, but no one gives a fuck. But we're still soldiering on. But no, that's why we created this scene, because we could see that it was like trying to chase something that was difficult to obtain. If you did obtain it, it didn't mean much anymore. So we're just like, no, let's just do it all for fun, be creative and be the best people. And hip hop, and I mean, we're into electro a lot, but I think the two have always been connected. It's like that thing. you've got to do it yourself. It's always been a DIY scene. If you start sitting there expecting people to do stuff for you, like thinking you're entitled to something, it's not going to happen. Or if it does, it won't happen the way you want it. It's controlled by other people. You've got to control the thing yourself, same as everything.
When we were kids, like, you know, all that mattered was that we were in the park with our friends, kicking a football, doing whatever. Yeah. And to me, it sounds like that's basically what you're doing with the DJing. It's not about anything else.
No, we want to do it because we like doing it. We like the thing. You know what I mean? We actually like the thing itself, not what it can do to achieve something else. It's like I just want to be involved because I get a really good buzz out of just hanging out with people, doing music, doing shows, and then doing creative stuff and learning new stuff and everything. It's just good fun, you know what I mean?
And then you get to do some amazing things like meet people like Charlie Chase and Prince Whippy Whip.
Yeah, that was mad. But unfortunately, that was the shittest gig I've ever done.
Because of them or because
No. It was when so this mixer, right? So you had the Vestax. No, well, sorry, there was a Rain 56. When the 57 come out, it was the first one that had Serato and stuff in it, right? So I'd never used that mixer before. And it was too difficult for me to take my mixer out because there was another band on before and stuff like that. I was like, oh, it's okay, it's a Rain mixer, I've got one of them. But there's a little bit at the back that changes over from digital to sort of analog as such, and they're tiny little buttons, and I didn't know what they were. So when I started doing my show, it just didn't work, and I was like, this is fucked. I managed to wing it a bit with beats off my loop pedal, but it still sounded weird, and I was like, this is the shittest gig I've ever done. It was on the Isle of Wight, and I was so chuffed. I was supporting Whipper Whip and Charlie Chase, so I was just like, this is fucking amazing. But the show was shit for me. It's the shittest show I've ever done. But it didn't matter, because afterwards I got to hang out with Charlie Chase and Whipper Whip, and them telling me some mad fucking stories. It was me and Fidel Castro. It was just mad to sit there thinking. I was sitting there in a pub, and Charlie Chase and Whipper Whip are telling me stories about the Bronx and fucking that, you know, the hotel and all these things you heard in songs and all this stuff. And part of that, the main thing that I got from meeting them fellas, and just besides being a bit like, whoa, that's mad just meeting them. Besides that is what they were talking about, and then it made me realise something else about people that are purists, and especially a lot of hip hop people that are like, that's not hip hop. This is like, you know, the golden era stuff, and this is what it is, and because they're emotionally connected to it because when they got into it or whatever. And they're like, this is this. And all these people are arguing about what's hip hop, keeping it real, and all this nonsense. When you speak to people that actually invented it, the thing we're into, because we're just fans of it. I wasn't born in the fucking Bronx. I don't think you were. It's like we're actually just fans. They kept it going, don't we? So, but the main thing is that I know from what they were saying that all they're chuffed about, Charlie Chase and that, is that it carried on. People having fun. They don't go, well, this isn't hip hop, all that different type of rap or all this music. They don't care. They're just like, it's amazing that something we started as kids when we were skint has turned into this worldwide phenomenon. And that's it. So when people start harping on about keeping it real and stuff, I'm like, just have some fun, get a grip.
I think once you lose the essence of enjoying what you're doing, what's the point of carrying on?
Yeah, totally. Well, the whole reason hip hop started, from what I'm aware with historical stuff or whatever, or speaking of Charlie Chase and stuff like that, is like everyone was having such a shit time that they had to have a party to liven things up.
The same way that, like, the way, you know, the guy's named community scratch games, you know, it says it all. It's a community event, it's about scratching, and it's games, it's fun.
Having a laugh, so they want to do the same thing they're doing, not being separated. And it's like teaching them how to do stuff, you know, not forcing them to be rappers or scratchers, but just making it available. So so the kids are like, oh, grown-ups are actually all right, you know what I mean? Because I think that is the main thing. That's the problem, isn't it? Everyone seems separated, and then it's just, you know, it's just nice to create something where there is a nice environment, and usually in a pub is the best place. Yeah.
What's in the pipeline for Skratchlords and for your label?
In the pipeline for the label, we've got Jim's album coming out.
Oh, yes, yeah, Robust Audio Transition.
Been working on that for a while.
Yeah, it's been ready for a while, but the vinyl backlog is caused sort of
It's real.
waiting. Yeah, it's real. So yeah, that's coming out. I just released an album with Jimmy Hiddy's Penguin and Joe Foley called Sludgement Day. Our act called Anti-Royal Guard XL. It's all scratch music I've composed. A lot of it's really hardcore. We've done a metal track on it, loads of things. It's all real wild stuff. The album before that last year we put out that's just called Anti-Royal Guard XL. Robust Audio Transition is my album featuring guests out of our extended crew. That's coming out on vinyl very soon. Easter, get to it if you can. The community scratch games in Galway, Ireland, on Henry Street at the Beer House. Easter. Then Poland.
Yeah, 7th of July
7th and
in
8th,
Poland.
Toruń and Gdansk, the community scratch barbecue in Poland.
So it's expanding.
Yeah, there was a Polish one 3 years running anyway. It happens. We did Sweden have done one as well.
A couple of the guys that are regular guys that come to perform in
Camillix,
Brighton.
Croc,
Camillix is the main guy organising that.
How many of the collective run their own record labels?
Well, as you can see here, so Norsecore is my thing that involves everyone. Nozzle Recordings, Cut and Paste Records, NMCP Russia, Asthma Funk, their labels, and Community Scratch Music. And there's that, and now Scratchorama, there's others. So
that's 7.
Scratchorama, so it's like 7 or 8 labels in the scene.
But there's guys there's people that do their own independent projects, collaborative projects with
And
other
I'm guessing you kind of cross-reference as well. Like, when I say cross-reference, I mean you'll put something on his label, he'll put something on.
Yes, it can happen like that, and it has done. Yeah.
Like Jim's album features people from all throughout the whole
So your name
crew.
must be expanding quite a lot, far and wide.
Well, it seems to be all around the world, yeah. But it's like I say, we're an underground scene, and we sort of like it that way. It seems to be it's less stress. I've got an idea, basically, and things are going to change soon. Where I want each country, we're going to push the Skratchlords thing so other people can get involved and a bit more organisation in it, and just to make it more fun, a bit more interesting. So you'll find out about that in time. So yeah, apart from that, and then the Scratch Barbecue, which you're coming to.
I'm going to make the effort.
So that is, I think it's the 26th and 27th of August, so the August bank holiday, basically, at the Gladstone on Lewis Road in Brighton. It's outside until it's like midday, until 6 p.m. outside. We have 2 sound systems, then it goes inside because of the noise restrictions. It goes inside from 6 and goes on till like 1 a.m. or something on both nights.
How many people generally turn up for those?
A pub full. I've never counted, but the garden's full, the pub is full.
And people pass throughout the day. It's on 2 full
from other
days,
countries
so
are there,
there's
it's mad, isn't it?
it's not
So
just
you could
the
have like
same
1,000
people.
people.
Yeah, definitely.
And
About
you get to
1,000 roll
see
through,
people that you never think you're ever going to see. There's like people that are famous or whatever. They'll be there. You can talk to them at the bar. You can hang out with. It's all like everyone's together and relaxed, no egos, and you get to see some of the finest contemporary sort of scratch stuff that's going on, and electronic music, and just people, just fresh stuff, basically.
What about plans for your label?
Yeah, we got more stuff coming out. I've just like repressed a few things that have been out of print for a long time. Got some stuff in the works. Jimmy Penguin's working on a record, on a utility record or a scratch record. Harry Mosschops has got something in the works. He did one a few years ago called Scratch Fossils. Yeah, that's really good. And he's working on sort of a follow up to that. There's a bunch of stuff coming out. I've still got to put out my own sort of scratch record of my own. I nearly always collaborate with people, and I've got some of my own ideas that I want to get out there as well. It's keeping on going, man. We're definitely not short of things to do.
So for anyone that missed the name of your label, do you want to just remind people, look in the camera, tell them?
Yeah, so the label's called Cut and Paste Records. We've been about since 2014. We're on release number 31 now.
Is that all vinyl releases?
That's all vinyl releases, and that's not including all the extra stuff that we've done. Like
the Lordcore 7-inch series.
Jim came up with like a little mini label off the side, so it's called Lordcore.
So you have your own label as well?
Well, Norsecore is my sort of thing, but the Lordcore project was it's like limited 50 releases of 7 inches of the people in our collective just doing hardcore scratch tracks, just one each side, just like.
The Russian guys, NMCP.
Yeah, they cut it. They lathe. They make their own.
They made their own record cutting lathe. They're like super smart engineers, and they made their own record cutting lathe. I don't know if you know how complicated that is, but it's very complicated.
Yes.
And they support a whole scene in Eastern Europe of like putting out underground beats and supporting underground.
So they do their own manufacturing. Do they also manufacture your records?
Yeah. So like for the Lordcore series, that's what it was.
So you don't have to wait for 8 months for the.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do a smaller run.
Only for the small run, 7 inches that happened.
Exactly, yeah.
Not
and it's more kind of like hardcore people that are going to be looking out for those releases, and they'll like grab them. I also did like tape series. I put out like 20 Lordcore tapes.
Yeah, Skratchlords tape series. That was. Yeah.
And those are normally like a freestyle session or something that we've captured, and you're not necessarily going to try and spruce it up into a full album. But it's just like here's what happens in a basement or after hours after a club set or whatever, and So yeah, there's other aspects to it as well. So like I said, I'm on the 31st Wax release, but we've put out all sorts of
Over
other stuff.
10 years.
Yeah, over nearly 10 years. Yeah,
So it's on average, 3 releases every year?
about that. Yeah.
Okay.
And
what is it?
Besides
Is it
digital releases and other tapes that are now.
Yeah, we'll put out
releases,
releases,
vinyl releases,
yeah,
so
put
there's
out-
lots of digital stuff.
And sometimes it'll be because there's also a lot of people. There's been like portable scratching has come along since about 2015 is when that really kicked off, and we were straight on that and like putting out 7-inch skipless scratch records, and it really makes sense for people that are doing that because obviously with a portable setup it's a bit more bouncy. You might be scratching on, it's not all going to be set up all nice, so it kind of fits that format. So yeah, we do a lot of those. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun as well, and you can put out, putting the artwork up as well, getting people to represent with their artwork and everything like that. So that's all part of it as well, just making sure that it looks good and it's representing what we're doing.
Can you describe to me the difference between your first release to what you're doing now? Like, just skip everything in the middle.
The first one was very just a raw scratch record. It's a skipless scratch record. So we do like a trick with the production to make it easier to use on stage. It was very much just like vocal sounds and things to scratch with like that. And then comparing that to, Jim's album coming out is like progressive scratch music with that's gone beyond the kind of Invisible Scratch Pickles kind of format that a lot of people know and love, but he's pushed it into musical band-like productions. So yeah, it's wicked to be able to see doing stuff like that. And I don't know, you said skip the middle, but bang in the middle of all of that would have been something like the Modus Operandi album.
Yeah,
they made a scratch tool with like jazz sounds. We manufactured that, put it out, and then they took that record and made an album
Jazz
of it,
album.
and we put that out on Wax. So it's like this kind of regenerative thing.
And what about emotionally? Like, do you remember when you first got that first vinyl in your hand? And
Oh man, yeah, that was a buzz, and it's still a buzz every time. Like, yeah.
Is it the same buzz or?
It's not the same. It's
kinda like-
there's a little bit of stress with it now. Sometimes
Like
you're
the
just like, damn,
girlfriend
this
or
is
the
going
wife
to be
is
work.
moaning about, it's like,
Oh man,
you need
yeah,
to spend more money on my band.
she's seen she's seen a lot of crazy stuff. Half the house is dedicated to
How many vinyls have you got?
lots,
Put a number on it.
couple of rooms.
Put a number on it, because your room could
Well,
be
are
like
you talking about
the size of a
stock or like
shoebox.
my collection?
Your collection.
My collection's probably like a couple of thousand, like maybe 3,000 or something. But like,
Okay.
yeah, and then I've got like a stock room. And,
Okay. And that's all the stuff that you sell.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
basically, what
and
you're telling me
storage.
is you haven't sold anything because they're all in stock.
Yeah, oh man, yeah. Oh, I'd keep trying to just get him out of there. Yeah, keep trying to get him out of there. No, there's a lot in the house. I've got a storage unit as well.
So
Sometimes
basically,
I'm
you're just
fretting-
manufacturing records consistently, not just
pour
selling.
piling up in the house. Oh man, so sometimes I'm sat there thinking, oh god, how am I going to move all this stuff? And then and then something happens, and it just goes. Like we get big orders from big shops. It does happen. It's just like it's one of those things where a lot of time I sit around and just look around. It's like sometimes I can't believe we're doing it. But yeah, the buzz of getting that first record was
immense, isn't
definitely
it?
special. Yeah, I mean we did it on such a small budget. Then we didn't have proper sleeves. We didn't pay for postage. Me and Darcy went and picked it up from the factory and took it home on the bus. Like,
I relate to that.
You know the deal, yeah. So
I relate to that.
yeah, so yeah, it's cool to see that kind of progression. Like yeah, we get like extra test pressings made, so there's always like a little bit of like a white label run before the actual thing comes. So a few months ahead, we could send them out to people. People can get used to the sounds. They might be able to put them in a production or whatever, so it just gets it out there a little bit. And people just rate just getting something ahead of time.
What about you, Jim?
What about me?
Your emotions when you first had that piece of vinyl
Oh,
in
when
your hand.
the 7-inch did the first thing that was actually mine that I'd made, produced as such, and it wasn't just me. I made it with Chris Weston. He used to be in the band The Orb. He sort of like engineered it for me and added bits that are very important because he's an amazing producer. Yeah, it was amazing. You know what I mean? To actually it's almost like I don't care about anything anymore. I've got a record. It made me so much to actually hold a bit of vinyl with you on it more than anything. I mean, and digital's great because it makes it available for everyone easily, and it doesn't cost anything to put out really. But it's something that's a bit more real. You know, you can feel it, you can see it. So obviously, yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling. And then you end up with them all stuck in the back room, like you say, and the feeling changes.
That was the mad thing with our thing is that like they did sell, you know. And that was the thing that really like opened my eyes to it. It's just like, damn, we can do this, you know. Like,
okay.
We can do another one. We can do weirder stuff, you know. Like, yeah.
Okay. Any final words?
Yeah, I need to mention basically DJ Deviant, Naive Ted, Lewis James, Rich Maroon, as well as everyone else I've already mentioned. Nothing would be happening in the way it's happened for me and the Community Scratch Evolution or my music albums or anything if it wasn't for those guys and others. It's like, but I'm sticking who I forgot to mention basically. But those guys are extremely important in my whole attitude and everything and what's happened and what's made things good, and they're doing very well as well in their own thing because of the same thing, but it's like and big shout out all the Community Scratch crew, anyone's watching, come to our events, they're really good fun. We like having a laugh, come and join us basically, and if you want to listen to some really dope new hardcore scratch music or anything in that genre that we do, listen to our stuff, come to our events, have some fun with us, basically.
All right. And with that, we plan to be there, so hopefully see you soon. But yeah, guys, that's it from us for this episode. Thanks again for being here. All you guys out there, make sure you follow them on the social media pages. Go and check them out. They're dope. And just basically subscribe to the channel, click the bell to receive the notifications, like, share, get involved in the comment section below, and let's grow this thing. Thank you very much. Spread the word. Peace.